Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer. Thanks to Meteor Mash for this one. Amy plays Dark Steel Mirror while she controls the Sibsig ceremony. Does she still create a 2-2? Okay, so before we get into this question, I want to first show you a couple of other cards. Notice how this Terastodon and this Awaken the Sky Tyrant both have wording that makes the token contingent on actually hitting the graveyard, or actually sacrificing the enchantment. If we bring back the Sibsig ceremony, we can see that it doesn't include any wording about that. Accordingly, you will get the token whether you destroy the creature or not. When a spell or ability resolves, the default is that you perform all of the instructions. If some of them are impossible, you just skip over those and only do the ones that are possible. One major asterisk would be that if a spell or ability has targets, at least one target still needs to be legal, or else it can't even start to resolve. But the Sibsig ceremony doesn't use the word target anywhere on it, so we're good there. This concept also gives us the answer to the first challenge question I wanted to ask, which is what would happen if you replaced the Darksteel Mirror with this White Mane Lion? Both it and the Sibsig ceremony have triggered abilities that trigger when White Mane Lion enters the battlefield. Amy controls both, so she chooses the order that they're put onto the stack. If she sets it up so that the White Mane Lion trigger resolves first, she can return it to her hand, and then make a zombie token. Now let's examine how those other cards that we looked at earlier interact when something messes with them in a similar way. If you made one of the things Terastodon targeted Indestructible, or returned that target to your hand in response to the ability, it definitely would not get put into a graveyard, so you would not get a 3/3. On the other hand, although bouncing Awaken the Sky Tyrant would stop its token because you would be unable to sacrifice the enchantment, making it indestructible would do nothing, because you can still sacrifice an indestructible permanent. What about this Leyline of the Void? Well, again, Terastodon says no token. Leyline exiles the thing that you destroyed, instead of putting it into the graveyard. Because that permanent was not put into a graveyard this way, it would not result in a Terastodon token. Awaken the Sky Tyrant is a little bit more interesting. To sacrifice a permanent, its controller moves it directly into its owner's graveyard. Since Awaken the Sky Tyrant did not move to the graveyard, does that mean it didn't get sacrificed? Well, abilities that trigger when you sacrifice something would still trigger here, because this rule only defines what happens when you are instructed to sacrifice something. If you sacrifice something, but those game actions are modified to something else, you still sacrificed it. I'm not aware of any rule that directly backs up what I just said, but that is how it works. If that was a little unsatisfying for you, I have some good news, which is that for the case that we're considering, Leyline of the Void versus Awaken the Sky Tyrant, there actually is a rule that specifically says how it works. The wording, sacrifice this if you do effect, is covered by the rule that's on screen now, which indicates that the if you do clause checks whether you started to sacrifice Awaken the Sky Tyrant, regardless of what events actually occurred. Another application of this rule can be seen in my video on Narset and Shakedown Heavy, so you can check that out if you're interested. If anyone is wondering, this is my vote for how I would word the Sibsig ceremony's ability. I think it does a good job interacting with all the scenarios from today's episode the way that you would flavorfully expect, while making these interactions relatively obvious and also sounding okay. Maybe there's some other issue that I'm not thinking about, though I would love to hear about your thoughts in the comments below. That's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling. Until then, I hope you have a great day.